Okay, so when I say IT, what's the first thing you think of? Probably computers, right? Or maybe servers? Or the help desk? And yeah, that's part of it. But the reality? It's so much bigger. In today's business world, IT isn't just a department, it's the very engine that determines if a company is going to crush it or just become a memory.
So let's just dive right in with a big question. Have you ever felt like the business world is just relentless? Like it's moving faster and is more cutthroat than ever before? Well, you're not imagining things. The entire game has fundamentally changed.
And here's the core reason why. The power has completely shifted. It used to be a seller's market, where companies held all the cards. Not anymore. Today, it is absolutely a buyer's market. The customer is now at the center of the universe, with more choice, more information, and more power than ever. So for any company out there, standing still is basically giving up. You have to adapt, you have to anticipate, you have to respond instantly just to stay in the race.
So how on earth does any business keep up with that kind of pressure? Well, the answer is information technology. IT is the strategic solution. It's the system that lets you navigate this new landscape by taking all that chaotic noise, all that raw data, and turning it into sharp, critical insights that let you make winning moves.
But hold on, before we go any further, we need to get one thing crystal clear. Information is not the same thing as data. Not even close. Think of data as the raw, messy, unorganized facts, like a giant spreadsheet of every single sale from last month. It's just a lot of numbers. Information is what happens when you process that data into something meaningful. It's that clean report that tells you, hey, this is our top-selling product in the Northeast. Simply put, data is the noise, information is the meaning.
Right. So with that in mind, what exactly is information technology? Well, it's the entire system built to manage all of that valuable information. And here's the crucial part. It's not just about the tech. IT is a whole ecosystem. Yeah, it's got hardware and software, but it also includes the people who use it and the processes that make the whole thing work.
Let's break that ecosystem down real quick into its four main parts. First, you've got the hardware. That's the physical stuff, the monitors, the keyboards, the things you can actually touch. Then you have the software, which is like the brains of the operation, the programs doing all the heavy lifting. All that raw data we talked about, it lives in the database. And finally, you have the network, which is like the nervous system connecting everything together so it can all communicate.
Okay, so now we know the building blocks, but how do they come together? Well, they form an entire arsenal of different information systems. Think of it like a manager's specialized toolkit, with the perfect tool for every single challenge, from the front lines all the way up to the boardroom.
And what's really fascinating is how these different systems line up perfectly with a company's structure. Picture a pyramid. Down at the base, you have your operations staff using transaction processing systems, or TPS, to handle the daily grind, things like payroll and sales orders. Move up a level, and you've got middle managers using management information systems, or MIS, to get routine summaries of what's going on. For the really tough, complex problems, senior management relies on decision support systems, or DSS. And right at the very top, the executives use executive information systems, EIS, to get that big picture view, to spot the trends and guide the whole company. Each layer gets exactly the information it needs.
But beyond that pyramid, there's another really powerful tool worth knowing about, the expert system. Now, this is a much more advanced kind of system. It has a deep knowledge base in one specific area, and it doesn't just analyze data, it can actually give you intelligent suggestions. It's like having a world-class consultant built right into your computer.
Now, for decades, these systems were mostly kept inside a company's own walls. But then, a technology came along that didn't just add a new tool to the box. No, it completely redefined the entire business world. Of course, I'm talking about the internet revolution.
The internet's impact was so huge because it just shattered the walls of the traditional office. It didn't just link a few computers, it created a global network connecting everyone, everywhere. And all that connectivity gave birth to a completely new reality for business: electronic commerce, e-commerce. Now, e-commerce generally runs on two main models. The first is business to consumer, B2C. You know this one inside and out. It's you buying a book online or ordering dinner. But the other model, business to business, or B2B, is an absolute monster in the global economy. This is where businesses sell directly to other businesses. Think of a car maker buying steel from a supplier, all online, cutting out the middleman entirely.
This whole revolution created business models that just didn't exist before. You've got the virtual storefront, like your Amazons and Big Baskets.
You've got auction sites where customers actually set the price through bidding. There are content providers that manage web stuff for other companies. And then you've got portals, which are like the front door to a company's online services, often taking payments through apps like Google Pay.
Okay, so we have all these systems, this amazing connectivity, these new business models. But what's it all for? What's the ultimate goal here? It all comes down to one thing: helping humans make smarter decisions faster.
Because when you strip everything else away, the most valuable thing that IT can possibly do is help a manager answer one single critical question: what should we do next? This is the world of computer-aided decision systems, tools designed for exactly these kinds of complex, high-stakes moments.
So how does a system like this actually work? Well, it follows a pretty clear logical process. First, it helps you identify and really define the problem you're up against. Second, it creates a simplified model of that problem, usually a mathematical one. Now, step 3 is where the magic happens. A manager can play what if, changing different variables to see all the likely outcomes. And finally, step 4. The system presents all these data-driven insights, giving the human leader everything they need to make the best possible call.
And that brings us right to the main takeaway of this whole thing. IT is the engine that transforms mountains of raw, pretty much worthless data into valuable information, and then helps people turn that information into game-changing strategic decisions. That is its ultimate purpose.
Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative question. We talked about those expert systems, right? The digital consultants that can already make suggestions. Well, as these AI systems get more and more powerful, what does that mean for the future of human decision-making in business? At what point does the support tool become the one actually making the final call? That's something to think about. Thanks for joining us.